Hello, my name is Relce Rosario, and my project name is to identify the mental health stresses from Reddit posts using machine learning and transformer models. As the project title itself highlights about the Reddit platform, we know we have different types of platforms over the socials like Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. These are the platforms where often social stress comes in, and one of them I will be concentrating is Reddit because it's an anonymous platform and anyone can post anything anonymously anytime. Talking about the mental health is something that affects all of us, but not everyone feels comfortable talking about it openly in a real lifetime. Platforms like Reddit gives people a safe, as I said, it's an anonymous platform to express what they're going through, whether it is a job pressure, financial worries, or emotional struggles. Every day, thousands of posts are made about this personal experiences on these platforms, and this creates a rich source of data that reflects real human emotions. The challenge is how do we move from just reading this post to actually quantifying what people are going through, like actual feelings. That's where my project comes in, is to identify what kind of stress a person might be expressing based on their words. Uh, in this slide, which is about the background, as I talked about the motivation, how these platforms are interconnected with everyone and how people express everything on social media, because people express uh, their expressions on this social media platform because it's an open source available, and especially Reddit where people can comment, write, post anything anonymously is a great exposure. While um, Reddit hosts a millions of real conversation about the life struggles, this discussion reveals patterns of stress like financial, social, or emotional. But now, how can we identify and measure those stresses using data? How many of you have seen a Reddit post or tweet, Instagram post that sounded like someone was really struggling but couldn't tell what kind of stress it was? And I think this question lies to every individual because in this today's world, like everyone is using social media, and many people express stress online, but it's hard to tell what kind of stress it is. Most exciting studies detect only stressful versus non-stressful posts, but the this project which I'm doing is step further because I'm trying to identify which type of stressor is being expressed. Understanding stressor types can help improve digital mental health insights. The baseline research paper which I'm referring to, uh, I have found that most work only focus on classifying whether a post is stressful or not stressful. That literally got me thinking is to identify what type of stressor someone is describing could have been even more useful. For example, distinguishing financial stress from social or emotional stress can give more meaningful insights. So once I understood the problem, I broke it down into the five main objectives. The first step was to collect Reddit data from relevant subreddits such as depression, anxiety, personal finance, low income, mental health issues, etc., etc. And when I needed to label those posts into specific categories, for example, financial, housing stress, emotional, and other, then I performed exploratory data analysis to visualize patterns such as common words, sentiment analysis, and severity levels. Once the data was ready, I used two approaches wherein I have used baseline machine learning model with TF and IDF logistic regression and a Distilbert transformer model, which understand language context much better. As you can see on the screen as well, that my Reddit post or the data which I have collected was unstructured, so it was full of text. But then later, when I did pre-processing and everything, we'll see in the further slides how we labeled and how the data was imbalanced and what all things we took for the further steps. Um, sorry. Yeah, so we can see that there is 3,400 rows and 10 columns where ID, subreddit, title, text, everything is there, and these are the text. You can see title, number of comments, score, everything in here. And then the post which I've collected as 200, and then the class counts for social stress is uh, however according to the numbers which we can see on the screen. um, when I first analyzed the data, I noticed a strong imbalance. Categories like social stress had far more posts than others like housing or anxiety. So if I train a model on this data as it is, it would be like biased with the majority classes. So I balance the data set using oversampling technique essentially because it increases the minority classes samples until every category had similar counts. So as you can see on the left side, it's very imbalanced, the data. So to balance the data set, I have used an oversampling technique and essentially to increase the minority class samples until every category had a similar counts. So that's how I have balanced it, where I've made the minority class I've increased the minority classes so every sample gets a similar count. And as you can see, the left chart now is balanced. Uh, this step ensures that the model learns equally from all the categories, improving overall fairness and accuracy. Labeling the Reddit post. Once the data was collected and cleaned, the next step was labeling. That means assigning each Reddit post to a specific stress category based on what it talks about. So I if if you see the data set, there is a column where there is a subreddit section where you can see depression, anxiety, low income, financial independence, etc., etc. So the labels were assigned through the subreddits directly, that this is depression, that's anxiety, financial, there's housing, social, and there is stress. And the second thing which I did was that I've put in a loop where every word which is there in the title or the post which the user has made, it takes those words and then it returns back that term which is associated with it. Example, which is like rent, bills, money, job. So it returns financial. If there is friend, family, relationship, it returns social. And the labeling process is really essential because it gives our model a wo, way more to learn patterns in their language. So this later, when it sees a new post also, it can automatically predict whether it's financial, social, or other types of stresses. So there's a diagram which I've given as well. So it's a Reddit post which was unstructured. Then there is a subreddit, and then there is a keyword check which we saw, and then it aligns, or I can say it labels that this is housing, this is in financial, and this is an anxiety. Now we can see that I have done exploratory data analysis as well, where the first two charts, first one is distribution of the post lengths. Most Reddit posts are short, like less than 500 words. However, housing and social posts tend to be longer, suggesting users share more details about the personal or complex issues. And for the average post length by label as well, we can see social, housing, other, anxiety is more. For the word clouds, all posts, word cloud, housing. In this, we can see feel, people, time appear across are more. In housing, we can see this home, house, seller. These words are recurring. In anxiety, we can see this feel, anxiety, life. time in word cloud social, we can see don't people feel is the most one category. So basically, before training my model, I explored the text to understand patterns in language and post behavior. So I found that most Reddit posts are short, but some categories like housing and social involve longer narratives. And the word clouds really help me understand what people talk about the most. For example, as we are seeing the stress related posts and everything often have work or time pressure while they're posting anything on social media. Then I've done understanding stress severity and symptoms. Most uh, posts express mild to moderate distress, but a significant number uh, are showing that users often come to Reddit when they are struggling. Like people actually post comments or anything they are facing in a caps lock as well. So it shows like in what type of situation or what type of mental instability they might be facing while they're posting any comments or anything. Um, then in here we can see that severe posts often mention panic, hopelessness, or self harm, while mild posts focus on work stress or fatigue. So now that we understand how stress appears linguistically and emotionally, the next step was to train models to automatically classify and predict these stresses. So for the model evaluation, I've used multi-class stress classification. I've trained and tested the multi-class classification model to detect the type of stress expressed in each Reddit post, whether it's anxiety, depression, financial, housing, social, or other. On the validation data, the model achieved 62% accuracy with the F1 score of 0.61, and for the final test, it performed slightly improved by 67% of accuracy. So it's kind of good. The high score of anxiety and housing suggests the model recognizes these categories more clearly, while stress and social were harder, like due to overlapping. Sorry, for the confusion matrix as well, we can see that the stress related language is semantically diffuse. Like people express stress through social, emotional, and practical contexts more. Then for the trends over the time, um, the graph shows that the total number of Reddit pros across all the categories month by month, and we can also see the clear rise in the discussions between the late 2024 to the mid 2025, peaking around March and April. So this indicates that there was an increase online activity for stress expression during that period, possibly like maybe after holidays of financial year in the middle year of the transactions. And for this one, that was monthly Reddit post by volume by label. um, I think it's similar, but I can see that's for housing, depression, it's a little bit lower, but stress, social categories, financial concern is more in this. Overall, this view helps reveal when people are most likely to talk about certain kinds of stress they are facing. And the baseline model binary stress classification, where if as I mentioned before while I started the presentation, was that I'm referring to a baseline paper. So in that they have classified stressful and non-stressful Reddit posts, which I am also doing and trying to improve the model accuracy. And I've got 85% accuracy, which is like a decent performance. But as you can see that the recall is 1.0. So um, for stressful posts, but not for the zero non-stressful ones, meaning it actually fails to detect the calm or the neutral post in between. So, which I have to look forward to it, and I'm thinking that I am going to use a Distilbert model um, to improve the accuracy itself, and not just concentrate on the stressful and non-stressful classification, but actually tell that if there is stress, anxiety, etc., etc., then it classifies as a financial. If it is a PTSD or low income, then maybe it's a housing issue. If there is stress, depression, and something else, and that is social. So those are my next steps, which I am thinking to do. And I'm ready to take any feedback from the peers and also